Okay, hi there. This is the solutions to paper 1H of the Year 11 PPEs. Just going to do the solutions live on this video. Hopefully there will be a few questions that will really help you. We've been through a few in class, but just in case you've missed it or you don't, and certainly haven't been through all of them. So this first question is clearly about sharing some money, £60 in the ratio 3 to 2 to 5. Just to understand, if you're really confused with this ratio, 3 and 2 and 5, add them up, gives you 10. It's a bit like saying we split the whole amount of money into 10 equal pieces. There's 10 pieces there. The first 3 go to Tim, the second 2 go to Jason, and the last 5 go to Peter. So we're splitting it into 10. So for that reason, your first mark is going to be for 60 divided by whatever you thought that was. 60 divided by 10 is your first mark, which is all you've written down as 6. And then we were asked to see how much money Jason got. So we own Jason being named second, will 2. So for Jason, the working out would be 2 times 6. So you would get your answer mark would be 12. And the other answer mark would be for the method mark would be for that. Moving on to question number 2. Okay. We've got some unknowns here. As soon as you see unknowns, we're not quite sure what it is, we should be thinking algebra. Trial and improvement, you could guess what the ages were, but to get any marks for trial and improvement, you have to get it completely right and get 4 out of 4. So it's not the best strategy. I am going to suggest we would label these. Write these down, youngest first. So we've got Colin as the youngest, Dave is 4 years older, and then Ruth is 3 times as old as Dave. What I would suggest that you do is for the youngest person, call their age X. It's better if you start from the youngest, because then it's logically you're adding on. Dave is 4 years older, so X plus 4. And then Ruth is going to be 3 times David's age. So because you've got 2 terms here, the X and the 4, you must have a bracket. You need any two of these 3 correct for 1 mark. For your second mark, once you've got some algebra here, it says the total of their 3 ages. So let's total their 3 ages, X plus 4, 3X plus 4. Total those, which means add them up, and that would come to 56. So there's a mark for getting that. It doesn't matter whether or not you've expanded this one at this stage. Okay, the next mark is to get all the X's on one side, all the numbers on the other mark, so other side, sorry. So we want letters and numbers. So we're on the left. Let's just expand that. 3x plus 12. So on the left, we've got x plus 3x. We've got 5x, and we've got 4 and a 12. So we've got 16. And on the right, we've got 56. I'm taking off 16 from both sides because I want just the letters. I don't want the 16. So I've got 5x is 40. That is my second mark. And I divide both sides by 5. So my answer is X is 8. But did it ask me X? No, it asked me Ruth's age. So Ruth is 3x plus 4 out of space. So Ruth, pardon me, is 3 lots of 8 plus 4, which is 3 12s. So Ruth is 36. So the final answer was 36. Let's move on. Question 3. Done this one in class, but in case you weren't there, we've got a cube. I suggest that we draw a quick sketch of a cube. 2 squares, join the corners. Okay, volume is 125. Just to remember that volume is the length times the length times the length is 125. So to get the height of the cube, you would do cube root, 125, which is 5. For perfection, I would write length equals, so we know what we're doing. That's a 5, but all 3 dimensions will be 5. Okay, then we're asked for the surface area. The surface area is the area of all 6 faces. There's one face, it's a square. So each face area, 5 times 5. So if you've got 5 times 5, 5 squared is 25. You've got a mark for the area of the face. You need to realise there's 6 faces. If you'd forgotten that, the net of a cube looks like that. You know, each face is shaded in one. So you've got 25 for each. So clearly you've got 25 times 6, mark for that. Answer 150 for 4 marks. Number 4 was done really well. Product of prime factors. Doesn't matter how you split this to start with. Most of you are probably going to divide it by 2 because it's the easiest one. That's a prime number. Half of 136. If you're not sure, half of 130 is 65. Half of, so you might be unsure. Half of 130, 65. Half of 6 is 3. So that'll be 68. It's an even number, so it will divide by 2, which is the prime. Half of 68 is 34. That's an even number, divided by 2. 17 is a prime number. So that's 1 mark for your working out. The correct answer, a lot of you didn't get the correct answer. You do need to write down 2 times 2 times 2 times 17. Product of prime factors means multiply. If you didn't have the multiply signs, you're going to lose a mark. So it's worth 3 marks altogether, 1 for the answer, 1 for getting at least 2 correct factors, so maybe getting to 68, and then a second mark for getting the whole factor tree done. 3 marks there. Really, if you're going to get a high score or improve your score, you need to be working on getting really high marks, practicing these first few questions. Right, okay, question 5 is lots of words here, so this would be a good question to take your time and have a good read through. Okay, we've got profit of 18,000. It's shared by 2 directors and 24 employees. A third of the profit is shared equally between the 2 directors. Okay, so we can work that out. So a third of the profit, we've got to find a third of 1,800, which is 18,000, sorry, divided by 3. So I'm going to keep my 1,000. A third of 1,800 is going to give me 6,000. Okay, and then I'm asked to, and that's for 2 directors, isn't it? It's shared equally by 2. So that means a director gets 6,000, but divided by 2. So £3,000 for the directors, both directors. Now, so once I've given 6,000 to the 2 directors, then I've got 18,000, my total profit, take off the 6,000 for the directors is 12,000. So there's a mark for that and a mark for doing this. So 12,000 for the employees. There are 24 employees, so I would need to do 24 into 12,000. So 24 into 12 doesn't go. So I'm going to do 24 into 120. You might not know your 24 times table, so you might have to keep adding 24. Write these down. It's exactly 5 times 24 is 120. 24, 0. So it's £500. So there was a mark for trying to divide by 24. That's 3 marks so far. So we've got £3,000 for the directors. And we've got £500 for the other employees. And you were asked to say each director gets n times the employee. So what do we have to times 500 by to get 3,000? It is 6. So n is 6. There was a mark for 6. Bottom of the page, n is 6. There's your 4th mark. Question 6, we went over in class, so you might have done this. A turning point is either a maximum point or a minimum point. So here the turning point is right there. Let's read off. If you read down, it comes to 2, and you read across the y-axis, it's 5. So 1 mark for 2,5. Second part of the question, this part of the question, so 1 plus 4x minus x squared is exactly what's written up here. So that is represented by the curve. So that is the curve. That's the amber bit of, now that's y equals, so that the curve is y equals the amber bit. We want it to be equal to 2.5. So we need to draw on y equals 2.5, which is a horizontal line. I need a ruler to do this. Bear with me for 10 seconds whilst I find a ruler or a straight edge. So draw a horizontal line at y, carefully though, y equals 2.5. Don't need to label it, but it is y equals 2.5. And then we're asked to solve it for x. Your two x coordinates, I'm going to carefully draw down to there, and the other one. Okay, for me, the two answers are 0.4 and the other one 3.6. On the mark scheme, because reading off, you were allowed anywhere between 0.4 for the first answer up to 0.45 if your vertical line wasn't quite in the right place, and the other one anywhere between 3.55 and 3.6, anywhere in that range. So 1 mark for each of. Okay, if you've drawn y equals 2.5, that's 1 mark. If you didn't draw it and you got one answer right, that's 1 mark. But to get full marks, you'd need both answers to get both ticks. Let's move on to question 7. Okay, we mentioned this one in class. A negative power means reciprocal. We've got to do two things. We've got to turn the fraction upside down. So 1 mark for doing the reciprocal. And then power of a quarter means 4th root. So we've got to now do having turned it upside down, now do the 4th root. And the best way to do that is to do the 4th root of y to the power of 8, or to think of it like this, y to the power of 8 to the power of a quarter. You multiply the powers together. So on the top is y squared. You do the same on the bottom. 4th root of 256. 4th root of 256 is 4, because 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 is 256. And the 4th root of x to the 20 is x to the power 5, because it's x to the power 5 times x to the power 5. If you think of it like that, there's 4 equal terms multiplied together, or you can think of it x to the power 20 with a quarter, and you multiply these together to get 5. So you needed that to get your second mark. Question 7. I know I'm going quite fast, but you can obviously play it back and slow it down a bit. If you need question number 8, it was done pretty well, which is why I didn't go through it in class, because quite a few of you did it, but you might well need this. Okay, to be able to do this, we need x here, so we're going to have to get some of the angles nearby. In particular, we are going to end up needing that angle there, because we've got an isosceles triangle here. So if we've got these two green angles that are going to be equal, then we can find angle x fairly simply. So the fact that that angle x is in the triangle, clue should be we need the angles in the triangle. Okay, well, to start with, what we really need is, if you look at this angle that I'm doing in black, that black angle there that we want, that is the angle inside the octagon. And then this orange angle is the angle inside the pentagon. So we're going to need those two angles. So we want the interior angles because it's inside the shape. But just personally, I think it's always best to go for to get the interior by doing the exterior angle. So I'm going to do the exterior angle of an octagon. So it's 360 for every exterior total, and there's 8 sides. Dividing by 8 without a calculator, we divide by 2, then divide by 2, then divide by 2. So I'll do half of 360, 180, half again, 90, half again, 45. So that exterior angle is 45. So then the interior angle is 180 minus the 45, which is 135. So if you've got either of those, you've got one mark. I'm going to do the same for the pentagon, but the pentagon exterior angle is 360, but this time it's divided by 5. To divide by 5, I'm going to divide it by 10 to give me 36 and double it, so 72. That's your second mark for getting 72, but that means the interior angle is 108. 108, that looks like 168, 108. So looking at this key part of the drawing, if I make that a little bit larger, I want the green bit. So this bit here is from the octagon. That big bit there is interior angle of an octagon is 135. But then this orange bit here, interior angle of the pentagon is 108. So I'm doing 135 minus 108 equals 27. And the two green bits are 27. That's my green angle there. 27. Oh, sorry. The page. 27 there. That's X. Another 27 there. So X is going to be 180 for the whole triangle. Take away 27. Take away 27. 54. 180 minus 54 is 126. Right answer 126. There's your complete method. One for the answer. That was done quite well though. Key thing is trying to find the correct angles and knowing how to get interior and exterior angles on a polygon. Question 9 is solving an inequality. Okay, we don't want a fraction here, so we're timesing both sides by 2. So I'm going to get 4x plus 3. When I times by 2, I'm just cancelling the 2 at the bottom. I don't double anything on the top. The 2 cancels with the 2. And over here, I'm doubling everything. So I get 2x minus 6. So there's a mark for doubling, getting something like that. Now, ideally, we're going to get letters on one side. I'm going to go for letters on the left because I've already got 4 of them there. So I'm going to take 2x from both sides, so I get rid of letters on the right. I'm going for numbers on the right. So I'm going to get 2x plus 3 on the left. And now I want to get rid of the 3 there. So I'm doing the opposite of plus 3 is take away 3, both sides. So I'm going to get 2x on the left and minus 9 on the right. That is my second mark for getting x's on their own. And because I know it's 2x, I'm halving both sides. So my final answer is x is greater than or equal to minus 4.5, 9 over 2, minus 9 over 2 if you prefer either of those. Third mark. Moving on to question 10. This one, several of you struggled with. We went through it in detail in class, but if you missed it or didn't get it. Okay, so Monday to Friday, I'm just going to quickly do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I would prefer a little diagram. Monday to Friday, the mean number of orders was 72 per day. So I'm going to assume it's 72 every day. The important thing is that the total for those 5 days was 72 times 5, which is 360. That was your first mark, was for getting 360. But then if we include Saturday and Sunday, put that at the beginning of the week, Sunday, Saturday. At the beginning of the week, we know that the total mean average would be, assume it's 93 for every day. So when I've got all 7 days, it's 7 times 93, which is 651. You might need to do that to just double check it. 7 1s are 21. 2, 7, 9, 63 plus the 2, 651. So you probably need to do that. I doubt you knew that. So the 2 missing days, Saturday and Sunday, between the 2 of them, if we do the 651 for the whole week, 651, take away the 360 for the 5 days, we've got 291. But we also know that on Saturday, it was 152. So if I take off the Saturday, 152, I get the Sunday, carry 11, 11 minus 2 is 9, 8 minus 5, 139 must be Saturday. So as a mark for 139, mark for doing this subtraction bit here. Question 10. Question 11, cumulative frequency. Cumulative just means add up as we go. So I'm doing, starting with 10. That's between, this is identical to this. Look, it's between 30 and 40. It's between 30 and 40. So it's going to be still 10, but this is that 40 to 50. So what we're doing is we're adding up as we're going. We're adding on this 22, so it's 32. So I added on the 22. Then I'm adding on the 28 to make it 60. Then I'm adding on the 20 to make it 80. Then I'm adding on the 15 to make it 95. Then add on the 5 to make 100. And my final number at the end, 100, should be all the people, which it is. So we're going to draw this as a graph now. So question 11 part B is to draw this. So I'm going to plot my points. My first group is got to be less than, I'm plotting these numbers here. I'm plotting the 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 of these, doing a complete plot. So my first point is 40, 10. Just be careful, take time on these. 50, 32, there's 30. Each little square is going up by +2. 60, 60. 70, 80, 80, 95. 95 is halfway, and finally 90, 100. And now we're trying to join these. Sorry about the phone ringing. Just pause for a second. Okay, so now we are just joining up these points carefully. You would do this in pencil. Try to make sure you there we go. So there's a mark for the plot and a mark for joining up. Okay, the median time. Median is the time of the person who's halfway. So halfway person, top person 100, middle person 50. Let's read across from 50 right there and down. Draw your line on. That's a working out. 2 marks. You're going to get a mark for the working out. To me, it's 57. On the mark scheme, you were allowed between 55 or 57, or like me, read off from the graph. So if it's on your graph at 57, that's fine. Or if it's on your graph at 58, that's fine. Okay, then use your graph to find an estimate that people took longer than 67 minutes. Circle that. 67. Where's 67? 70. Count back 3. I'm going to mark it on 67. So let's find the how many people. 67. Whoops, just there. Careful. Right. Okay. So to me, there's 70. For me, it's 75. But if you've read up and across, you're going to get a mark for getting the 75. Now, these 75 people represent this part of the graph. They're the people who scored. 75 people scored less than 67. The question didn't say how many scored less than. It said they took longer than 67, not less than 67 minutes. So those that took longer were this part of the graph, people on the right, top right. So it's this bit here. So your answer is not 75 people, it's the people above 75, which is 25 people. So for me, it's 25, or if you want to do working out, you would write 100 minus 7, whatever your 75 was. As long as you've read off and across, you're going to get this mark. 6 marks there. That's one to really work out to try and get those marks. Question number 12. I'll do my best to get this done before the pitch go at 3:30. Question number 12. Where is it? I don't know. Okay, question 12. So it asks you for an estimate of the gradient where time is 1.3. So there is 1, there is 1.3. Let's go up to here. Right, so you get 1 mark for drawing your very best. Draw a tangent where time is 1.3, which is about there. So if you've drawn this tangent, you've got a mark. Then we're trying to find the gradient of the tangent. So I'm going to do my very best to, let's go from the whole number. I'm going to go from 10. From 10 across, and I'm going to go up to 25, which is there. So for me, right angle triangle big, but make it easy to read off because you haven't got a calculator. So for me, I'm going up 15. Maybe without a calculator, I should just be careful. I should go across maybe 2. Let's just change that again. I'm going to go across 2. Let's go from there. Go across to 2, so it's easy for me to divide. 2 is there's 1, 2 is there. Let's try that So I'm going across 2. It's going to make it easy for me to divide across. Sorry, concentrate. Yeah, across 2. And how much am I going to go up? I want to measure this distance here. So I'm going from, this is where I've got to be careful, 7.5, 8, 8.5. So I'm going from 9.25 up to there. Just take care with this. 20, 21, 22, 22.25, 22.25. So for me, that is 13 going up there. I'm doing a subtraction. Subtract that. I've got 13 divided by 2. So for me, the answer is 13 over 2 gets a mark, and answer 6.5. I think the range you had to have was between 6 and 7. Interpret this in context. Okay, I've got a speed time graph, and I'm finding how speed changes with time. So you could put rate of speed change of speed at time equals 1.3 seconds. But the rate of speed change, another word for that is acceleration. But I don't think you had to have that. Acceleration at t equals 1.3. Or the marks. Okay, let's move on. Question number 13, standard form. How many times can you move the point? 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 3.76 times 10 to the power of -4. Most of you had that. Second one, I would write it as a fraction. 4.6 on the bottom. 2.3 divided by 4.6, 0.5, and 10 to the power 12 minus 3, 10 to the power 9. That is a mark, but that is not in standard form. This one, you times it by 10 to get 5. That is standard form, which means this one we divide by 10 to keep it the overall thing worth the same. If you're dividing by 10, the 9 turns into an 8. So your second mark was 5 times 10 to the power of 8. Question number 14. Okay, so y is inversely proportional to the cube of x. So y equals k over x cubed to begin with. Mark for that. Then we substitute in. When y is 3, we're trying to find what k is next. Y is 3, but x is 10 cubed. So that means 3 equals k over 1,000. We're going to times both sides by 1,000 to get rid of the 1,000 underneath. So k equals 3,000. Mark for that. So here's my formula. Y equals 3,000 divided by x cubed. And then I have to use that to find the value of y when x is 5. So 3,000 over 5 cubed, which is 3,000 over 125. Okay, you might need to do a sum here. I doubt you're going to know that into 3,000. So 125 into 300 goes twice. 2 lots of 125 is 250. So the remainder is 50. That's 500. 125 into 500 goes 4 times. Answer 24 for 3. Moving on. Okay, 15. It's a ratio question. You're told AB to BD, the ratio is 1 to 2. Okay, so what we're really saying is if we're talking centimeters, well, at 3 centimeters, but then it's got to match the bottom one. The bottom one, AC, is 5, but CD is 7. The top add to 3 centimeters, the bottom add to 12, so it's just not working here. So we want to make them the same. 3 goes into 12, so I'm just going to times the top ones by 4. So I'm going to make that, instead of 2, I'm going to make that 8, and in this one here, instead of 1, I'm going to make that 3. So that's going to be your first mark. But now, if we've got this with a 3, if that's 3 there and that's 5 there, that little one there must be 2 because 2 plus 3 makes 5. So show that B to D. B to D is 8. 8BC. Oh, I don't know here. BC to CD. 8B to BD is 2. looks okay. B to D I make 8. B to C I make 2. So I made a typo somewhere. Oh, times 4, sorry. That's 4, not 3, which makes that 1. Duh. Sorry, it's Friday afternoon. Okay, so B to C is 1 if B to D is 8. So the ratio is 1 to 8. So yes, that does mean, so B to D equals 8B to C, because it's a 1 versus an 8. At least on a ratio, it could be 2 and 16. I could have times that by 8 and doubled that. Sorry about that. Okay, 16 we mentioned in class. 0.03, this one we would need to divide it by 3 and get y equals a third x plus 1. Going through 0.3 must be that one, so it's just C. Parallel lines have got the same gradient, so the only pair of parallels is a 2 and a 2, same gradient, so it's B and C. Question 17 is a Pythagoras question, but it also uses some algebra. Okay, so both of these are true. So for this first one, the big one, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But for this one, a minus 1 squared plus b minus 1 squared equals hypotenuse squared. Now, if I expand this, you have to just trust me with the expansion. A squared minus 2a plus 1 plus b squared minus 2b plus 1 equals c squared minus 2c plus 1. Now, if I use this one in this one, well, I know that c squared is a squared plus b squared. So if I do this side as a squared plus b squared minus 2c plus 1, and over here I've got a squared minus 2a plus 1 plus b squared minus 2b plus 1. There's a lot of a's and b's and c's. I've got an a squared on both sides. I've got a b squared on both sides. I am wanting to get a 1 on this side and letters on the other side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add 2a to the left and add 2b to the left. So I'm going to add 2a to the right and add 2b to the right. Let's go ahead and do that. So that will cancel, that will cancel. I've got a 2 on the left. On the right, I've got 2a plus 2b minus 2c plus 1. And I'm going to finish it off by taking 1 from both sides, and now I've got 1 equals 2a plus 2b minus 2c, which is what we wanted. That's a bit tricky. Okay, number 18, I'm squaring a third. So when I'm doing that, I'm doing 2 squared times root 5 times itself, which is 4 times 5, which is 20. Don't forget, root 5 times itself is 5. 1 mark for 20. Okay, this one here, you would multiply top and bottom by 4 plus root 11. 1 mark for multiplying, done it again, 4 plus root 11. So on the top, we're going to have 4 plus root 11. For now, anyway. On the bottom, we're going to get 4 minus root 11 times 4 plus root 11. Which is, using FOIL, the firsts are 16, the outers 4 root 11, the inners minus 4 root 11, and the lasts minus root 11 times plus root 11 is just minus 11, because root 11 times root 11 is 11. These two cancel out to make 0, so I'm going to end up with, after all that, 16 minus 11, which is 5. So my final answer is 4 plus root 11 over 5. Question 19, we did at length in class. We found the probability of getting getting no 6s, so getting all non-6s, is 5 over 6 to the power of n. You don't need to draw a diagram, but if you want to, you can. So that means The probability of getting at least 1/6 is 1 take away that, 1 minus 5/6 to the power of n. Have a look in your corrections for a few more notes there. How are we doing for time? I've got 10 minutes. Can I finish? I don't know. Using algebra to show recurring decimal is that, so you would let x be 0.25. Let's write it out a bit more. 5454. 10x then is 2.5454. Now I want another one which has got going 5454, so I can subtract. That will be, I have to move it twice. That'll be 1000x will be 254.54. You have to move the point 2 places, which is why you've got to times by a bit more. So it's going to be a mark for that. Let me just check the mark scheme. Okay, so I'm going to do a subtraction. I'm going to do 1000x minus 10x, 2.5454. So I'm going to get 990x equals 252. That's sort of roughly where you've got to get your first mark. So x is 252 over 990. And now to show, oh, sorry, lost it a bit. To show that, I'm going to divide by 2, 126, divide by 2, 495. Divide by 3, yeah, 42, divide by 3, 165, and finally divide by 3 again, 14, that's right. So that's fine. 21, how many more we've got to do? Struggling a bit to get this done in the time. Okay, question 21. We are finding the volume of the first one. So we find the volume of the sector. So we find the area of a whole circle. So for A, we'll get the area first of all is 45 over 360 because it's part of the circle times pi r squared, which is pi times 10 squared. Now to get the volume, now I've got to times that by the height. I've got to times that by another 10 to give me the volume. Tidying that up, we've got 1000 pi and then 45 over 360. Sorry, 45 over 360 cancels down to be 1 over 8. Do the same for part B. The volume is this time 60 over 360 times pi times 10 squared. Now this time times 5. So it's 500 pi on the top, but 60 over 360 is 1/6. Okay, now the density of a shape. So the density of A, density is the mass over the volume. So we've told the mass of shape A is 40 pi. So we're doing 40 pi divided by 1000 pi over 8. And for the other one, the density this is 50 pi is the mass divided by the volume of that, which is 500 pi over 6. I can tidy that up. So that's 1 mark for either volume, 1 mark for either density. Let's tidy up both densities for your third mark. So we're doing 40 pi, instead of divide, it's times, up, turn it upside down, 8 over 1000 pi. Pi's cancel off because there's a pi on the top, pi on the bottom. So we're going to get 320 over 1000. The other one, it's the same sort of thing. We do 50 pi, turn it into a multiply, put the 6 on the top and the 500 pi on the bottom. Pi's cancel off. What can I do here? 300 over 500. It will cancel down. Let's change it to be 600 over 1000. Okay. Next one. Express the differences as a percentage of the density of the prism. Prism A, sorry, could done with A there, not right down there. It's a bit confusing. Okay, prism A is this one, and I want the differences. So just maybe for, we've got 320, we've got 600. So the differences between them, Do them as decimals, we've got 0.28 is the difference, and the 1 of A is 0.32. So we want that as a percentage. Maybe it would be better to do 28 over 32 and get rid of the decimal points. I want that as a percentage, so I'm going to times that by 100. So I've got 2,800 divided by 32. 32s into 320 go 8. 8 32s are 240, 256. So remainder is 24, 240. 320s into 240 goes 7. 7 32s is 200. 7 32s. 2 and 10 plus 14. 2, 2, 4. Remainder 16. 160.5. That's tricky to do without a calculator. 87.5%. Got 4 minutes. I've got to do question 22 and 23. I've run out of time, so I'm going to stop the recording now, and I'll put 22 and 23 on later. Let's just stop the recording.